Hello guys, as you've just seen, our newest addition to the fleet has just landed in the workshop. The guys there are going to add a bit of paint to it, to add the decals, and we'll catch up with them later to see how they're getting on. But what we're working with is a Scania R730. It's not so long ago that we finished the R620, so I thought another Arctic lorry would be something interesting to work on. And our friends in PCBWay wanted to see us put our new version 4.2 PCBs into something interesting, to do a build of an actual vehicle. So I thought this would be pretty interesting. What we have here is a Welly model. I think it's an Italian brand, although the model itself is made in China. So it's a Scania R730 V8 in 1/32 scale. The cab itself is die cast, but the body and everything else here is plastic, so we should be able to modify or make changes to this part of it without too much trouble. The cab on the R620 was die cast and we were able to work with that, so should be no problem. On the 620 we had to drill some holes to add lights and stuff like that. We'll probably have to do the same here, but nothing that we haven't done before, so that should be fine. Taking a look at where we're going to add the LEDs, the first thing we can see pretty clearly, these little fog lights down here, basically 1.8mm LEDs, so that should be very easy to just remove those and get the LEDs in behind. It's probably going to be the same with the top there. We'll not get rid of the whole silver piece, we'll just drill that through and let the 1.8mm LED come up straight in the center of that little section there. On the indicators on the side, probably go with a smaller LED, probably go with the 1.8, so that'll only be a small hole in the center there, but it'll mean that whole silver area, that whole reflector should light up, and I think that would look a little bit better than if we just jammed a larger LED through there. So that's the actual lights that are on the model. Maybe we'll add a few LEDs up here. I'll check a few online images of real trucks and see how they are done, and if there's something that looks quite good, I might do that. We'll probably put a row of 6 straw hat LEDs. These are the straw hats that I used on the R620, so we'll probably put another row of 6 of those on the top, but this time I'll be able to 3D print a little bar for the lights, like a light bar that we can glue to the top, and that should hide the wires. So I probably won't need to individually drill all the holes through the die cast aluminium like we did in the first one. On the bottom then, possibly we'll put 4 LEDs down here somewhere. We'll just see how well it's done, or maybe we'll get some ideas from some real trucks. Maybe some square ones would look a little bit better, not sure. On the R620 we put a row of LEDs in the grille. We might do the same here, but we'll not do the same shape. We'll come up with something different for it. Because it's such a big truck, maybe we'll have orange LEDs and we'll have them flash at different intervals. Something like when you see a wide load sort of a truck coming, it usually has something like that flashing in the grille. On the back then, we just have this single plastic fake light here, so that's not really going to work for us. We'll probably just get rid of that and just put our 1.8mm LEDs, just 3 of them in there. So we'll have a reversing light, a brake light and an indicator, and that's pretty much it for the lights. I think it should be straightforward to get the main lights on, and then adding the kind of extras will be a little bit more challenging, but it won't be too difficult. Inside the cab itself, until we take it apart it'll be hard to see, but basically the die-cast cab ends here, and from there to the back of the seats there is a cavity. There's nothing there at all, so if we need extra space we could put a black wall in here. You'd never notice it in through the front of the cab there. Just put a black wall behind the seats, and that would give us a cavity there that we can put our any of our PCBs or any switches or anything like that we might need to add. We should be able to fit everything into the cab. Just a quick word about the sponsors of today's video is PCBWay again, and they are currently celebrating their 6th anniversary, so that's why they wanted to do something a little bit special, and I think this truck is going to be special. But if you're looking to get your PCB manufactured, this is a good time to head on over to PCBWay. You can take advantage of all the various discounts that you can get because of the 6th anniversary. So you can get the coupons. There's lots of little competitions and things that you can enter, and there is discounts on all the main processes. So we got the PCB assembly done in the previous sponsored video that is going to be used in this truck, so you can take advantage of some of these things as well. And if you come down to the bottom here, you'll see me there, so you can hit like on this video, and basically if we get enough likes we might win a prize, and that might mean we'll be able to try a new type of PCB. Okay, so we have our lorry, but how are we actually going to configure it? I thought the best thing to do was to take a look at an actual Scania options and specifications brochure. So if we shoot down here, take a look here, we know we have an R730, and when we look at the cab we can clearly see we have the high cab. So we go on down, and here we have the axle configurations. We know we have the short wheelbase, and we know it's a high, so it can only be one of these two. So you can see in this one we have the 2 rear axles being driven and the front wheels are free, but that's probably a little bit too easy for this build. We want this to be a little bit special, so we're going to go a little bit crazy and try and do a 6x6 drivetrain. So that's going to be all 6 wheels being driven. So maybe a little bit too crazy, we might not be able to do it, but realistically we do have a 16 litre 730 horsepower engine, so we really want to make use of that. So if we look at the bottom of the model here, we clearly have a lot of space in here. We're going to have to get 4 motors down here and 2 up here, but we're going to need the space up here to add our steering for our motors. So the plan is to use these N20 motors. We've used them pretty well in the track John Deere and other tractors like that, the Ford. So we'll have 4 of these in the back here. We'll drive the left hand pair separate to the right hand pair, so that we can try and do more of the software differential type thing that we done in the MAN truck. And at the front, I think at the front we'll keep them separate, so we'll have one motor driver driving these 4 wheels and one motor driver driving the front wheels. So by doing that, I think we can change the speeds of the front a little bit more, and I think that will help us to get a more of a tighter turning circle, because if we can drive this outside wheel, we'll say if we're turning that way, drive it a little bit faster, I think that'll help the whole vehicle to turn a wee bit better. So my plan is to have 4 of these motors in the back here. I'm thinking that I might try and add some sort of suspension, just a simple little spring mechanism to give it a little bit more adjustability, so that when we go up a hill, maybe the wheels will all stay flat on the ground and we'll get a little bit more pulling power. We're also going to need to fit in a servo here for the 5th wheel, but that won't be too difficult either. So I think by the time we have all our steering mechanism, our rear drivetrain, everything in there, there probably won't be a huge amount of space for the electronics. Maybe we'll get it the control board in here and a battery on this side. I'm not sure. It might be better to put a big battery in the back of the cab, like I was saying, with a rear wall, just hide it there, and then we could put a really big battery in the cab. So these are all options and we'll work them out as we get there. Okay, well, I think we've given the guys in the workshop long enough to get the decals on, get the model all painted up. So here's just a reminder of what the truck used to look like, and here are the changes. So obviously added a few PCBWay logos, but we also added a few little details in around the Model 2 just to try and make it a little bit different, with the Scania Griffin on the back there as well, and obviously our logos for PCBWay, since this is the PCBWay R730. Well, this is probably going to be a challenging build, but hopefully it'll be interesting. I definitely think the 6x6 drivetrain is going to be interesting. So if you're looking forward to watching this build series, make sure and hit the subscribe button and get the bell on so that you'll get notifications. But that's all I have for today. You know what the plan is, and I hope to see you in the next video.